Suicide Squad, some more debunking. Now, some people said that Harley Quinn, she was over sexualized in Suicide Squad, and that really she should be in the classical uniform and stuff. Well, I'm coming from DC Comics, Harley Quinn, issue number 26. You see the dog looking at her butt. Harley Quinn's been always over sexualized, for those people who don't know. Even in the television series, the way how they designed Harley Quinn, they drew Harley Quinn, the way how she tried to charm the Joker, how she would flip sides and go with different people. Harley Quinn, even Poison Ivy in that series, she was with Poison Ivy, she was a lesbian for a moment. Even in this series here, Harley Quinn, DC Comics, Harley Quinn is not only over-sexualized, Harley Quinn is also extremely, extremely unpredictably violent. Here she is, you can see Harley Quinn again, over-sexualized. So for those people who have a problem with that, she's always been that. She's always been a sex symbol. That's why women want to play Harley Quinn in cosplays. However, more importantly, people don't know Harley Quinn and the Joker, even though they haven't done that dimension yet, the Joker is also a highly sexualized character, and Jared Leto showed that dimension of the Joker. Harley Quinn and the Joker, they have no rules. You gotta understand, these people don't abide by rules. So the Joker, he's also bisexual, like Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn has a relationship with Poison Ivy, with everyone. She just has a relationship with anybody. You know what I mean? Here you see her ruthlessness, how she tears off the ears of some people here. Right? She just rips off this guy's ears just like that. Rah. Okay, she's extremely violent, extremely unpredictable. She will kill you on the drop of a dime. She doesn't have a problem killing people. She's just like the Joker. She's just a little more crazy than the Joker. The Joker's much more into planning and stuff. She's not so much into that, and Joker's crazy himself. Now, why am I saying all of this? I'm saying all of this to let you guys know that a lot of these allegations are just really a bunch of rubbish, okay? Harley Quinn is a kind of person who is unpredictable. You don't know what she's going to do next, okay? And just like the Joker, the only difference with Harley Quinn is Harley Quinn can, move from being, she has redemption in her. The Joker has no redemption in him. He is not coming back from being evil. Harley Quinn, there is a possibility of her becoming a good person. Okay, there is a possibility. It's very slim, but there is a possibility of her doing that. And she can be an agent for good as well. Okay? But as you can clearly see here, Harley Quinn is a symbol. That's what she's always been, and she always will be. Okay? And that's just what it is. That's what makes her so popular. She's crazy, and I want to go into something else now that we mentioned that. Now, if you were watching on the screen, you would have seen this screenshot. This screenshot here is Harley Quinn and the Joker. And what's interesting about this screenshot is it brings to mind this particular picture, okay? And this particular picture you see here is a classical Joker Harley Quinn picture. It's actually the cover of one of the comics. Okay, so this brings a recollection to that. You can see almost the exact facial expression of Harley Quinn here. The Joker has a different expression, but almost the exact facial expression of Harley Quinn here. Okay, but here's the thing that a lot of people don't understand. Harley Quinn and Joker literally represent a dysfunctional relationship between two people. Usually, the man is considered in that relationship, in a crazy relationship, a Joker. The woman thinks he's a liar, he's not serious, he's not about anything. And Harley Quinn, or Harlequin, is considered the brainwashed bimbo. So the woman feels like she's just a tramp, she's a harlot, she's a bimbo. And this is what Harley Quinn, very intelligent woman, medical psychologist, doctor, psychiatrist, she's the highest rank, she turns into this kind of crazy bimbo. So this is literally epitomizes what you should not have in a relationship. And that makes sense because they're villains, right? So I thought I would bring that out as well. But what's more interesting is seeing Harley Quinn interview the Joker shows me the exact replica of that from the comics. Not only from the comics, but from the animated series. When she's actually interviewing him and he's lying down speaking, you will actually see shots of that in the actual Suicide Squad movie as well. And why I wanted to draw the parallels of how close this movie is to the comics is because when you think of Warner Brothers and the last set of DCEU films, you literally can rip pages of the comics onto the screen. Literally, the movies have ripped pages of the comics from the screen. You cannot say that about Marvel. You cannot say that about the X-Men. The X-Men have different costuming. They have different things. None of it is rooted in canon. You look at the X-Men First Class. Their costumes are not rooted in canon. You cannot say that for Warner Brothers and DC. They do their homework. The costumes are rooted in canon. The characters are rooted in canon. And so when people say, oh, Harley Quinn was over-sexualized, blah, blah, blah. She was in a strip joint. Guess what? Harley Quinn does worse than that. She does worse than that in the comics. But if you're not abreast of the comics, Harley Quinn has her own comic strip, okay? They've even started with another new comic strip for Harley Quinn, okay? Now, my point is this. Harley Quinn not only has her own comic strip, but we even have a comic strip dedicated to the Suicide Squad that came out in July before the Suicide Squad movie came out, okay? Now, my point anyway is this. If you go and do your homework on Harley Quinn, everything that Harley Quinn you saw in the movie was in the comics or in the animated series. And here's something else just for you guys to know. And you can just go do your homework because I've done it. Of course, the vat chemicals, Harley Quinn falling into the vat, actually the Joker threw it in to the vat of chemicals, but didn't let her drown and drained out the chemicals in the comics. Now, in the actual movie, she actually volunteered and threw herself backwards into the vat of chemicals. The Joker didn't want to go get her, then he changed his mind and went in, and he saved her, and she became like him. Remember, the Joker, you got to understand the Joker's psychology. He is all about insanity. He wants people to understand what insanity is, what it is to be crazy. Okay? That's what the Joker wants people to understand. What is a world without rules? That's what the Joker wants. Now, Heath Ledger's Joker did not epitomize the core of the Joker because Heath Ledger acknowledged his Joker, acknowledged he was not crazy. And that Christopher Nolan angle is not the angle from the comics. The Joker continuously, that's why the whole point of the Killing Joke was to show Commissioner Gordon what it is to be crazy and to let go. He failed with Commissioner Gordon, but the point is that's what the Joker wants. He wants people to understand, especially people in key positions, to understand what it is to be crazy. And Christopher Nolan went against that. You see what I'm saying? He said that the Joker, he's an agent of chaos. He likes to destroy people's plans. That's not quite what the Joker is about. The Joker is actually about insanity and chaos, and he uses jokes to poke fun at order and poke fun at those heroes. He hates Batman because Batman epitomizes everything that he does not believe in, just like how Lex Luthor hates Superman. Batman is someone who has used his past and remembers his past to be able to establish order, and not only order, but to establish that there is laws and rules that people stay in line. The Joker is the absolute opposite of that. He does not like rules and order because it reminds him of his past, and he does not want to remember his past. And so he prefers to abide in insanity and do whatever he feels like doing because as far as he's concerned, to try to maintain order is one big fat joke. And that's why he gets a joke out of it. And that's why he's called the Joker. So this particular iteration of the Joker has plans. He does plan. He does have some structure. He does run the underworld. But that is not his point. He does all those things, but he's really about having people know what it is to be insane. He really wants people to get that. That's his thing. That's what he gets a kick out of. That's what Harley Quinn was able to experience, and she went through all of that with him. Now, As to the movie and the relationship between the Joker and Harley Quinn, which we know is a symbol of a relationship we should never have with another person, okay? It's a sort of codependency relationship in which the Joker, he's happy that Harley's gone mad, but he doesn't feel she's fully mad, but he doesn't want her to be around him because she's madly in love with him, or we say she has an infatuation with him. But Harley Quinn has no rules, Joker has no rules. Now, the thing about it is this. Harley Quinn has not gone as far as the Joker has gone. The Joker has gone that way because he has suffered. He does not want to remember his past. Harley Quinn doesn't have that. She's just mad because she wants to follow the Joker. That's it. But Harley Quinn can easily have different allegiances. She can have affinities with other people. But at the end of the day, she goes back to the Joker, no matter what. Now, here's the interesting thing about Harley Quinn and the Joker, okay? Now, people say they have a loving relationship in Suicide Squad, which is not true at all. There's a very abusive relationship. You can see that. He shocks her into being Harley Quinn. He tricks her into jumping into chemicals because he realizes she has a thing for him. And it's a very, very manipulative relationship on the Joker's part. He needs Harley Quinn to manipulate her to make her do different things, and he feels a sense of himself in her. And she, on the other hand, she's just cuckoo crazy for him. And like cuckoo for Cuckoo Puffs. She's nuts. And she's gone further nuts. And so she has multiple personalities, unlike the Joker. And she oscillates between Dr. Harley Quinzel and Harley Quinn and something in between the two. Okay? Now, what you have to understand is the Joker, he has no allegiance to Harley because he has no rules. He's just kind of has an affinity or attraction to her, but he's constantly trying to fight that so that he doesn't have to be with her. So when the car crashed, the Joker was nowhere to be found. He was gone. He was looking for his own tail. He didn't care about Harley Quinn. When the Joker, he rescued Harley Quinn, everybody's like, oh, he loves Harley Quinn. No, he thinks of her as his property, and you see it. On Harley Quinn's tattoo, one of her tattoos is property of the Joker. She doesn't really care. She doesn't care, okay? Then she has this big old put-in necklace. It's not even a necklace. It's a chain thing. It's like a dog leash on her, around her neck, saying "Puddin." I mean, it's obviously bondage and slavery. This is not no kind of love relationship, okay? And on her part, the Joker needs Harley Quinn so that he can actually validate himself because he has one of himself. Whereas Harley Quinn actually doesn't need the Joker as much, as she will soon find out later on as the relationship progresses, as is shown in the comics, and as this movie seems to be going in that tangent. She doesn't really need him, and she will find out that soon enough. But they're still going to have this constant tandem between the two of them, all right? It's usually very violent. The movie did not look to highlight the violent parts of their relationship. Obviously, it was cut out of the movie. And that's okay. We've seen enough violence to know that this is not a relationship that's on Harley's terms. This is not a mutually equal relationship. There's an understanding, but obviously right now Harley is doing things on the Joker's terms, right? So my point anyway is that for those people who think this is some sort of loving, caring relationship you really should have, no, this is as warped a relationship as it could ever be. For people who've read the comics, they know what point in the relationship these two are at right now. And I just said that because it's going to get really out there as you see more of the relationship between the Joker and Harley Quinn. If you go read the Harley Quinn comics, they're out there. They're real out there because they get you to see what's inside of Harley Quinn's mind. And Harley Quinn's mind, my God, it's terrifying yet it's funny at the same time. You know, it's kind of like the Joker's mind. It's really crazy and kooky, okay? So, but Harley Quinn has some redemptive qualities. She actually is more of an anti-hero than she is a villain, even though she's done some horrendous villainous things. I mean, from torture to murder to you name it, she's done it. But at the same time, her head's so messed up that how all of these images and pictures interplay with one another is just really... It's almost like she comes straight out of a Warner Brothers comic. If anybody's ever seen, Warner Brothers animated comic, it's kind of like bum 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 bum. She's really wacko. You know what I mean? You move from one horrendous scene to the next, and it's almost as if it's surreal. It's almost like when, say for instance, the Roadrunner or Daffy Duck smashes Porky Pig in his head, pow, and knocks off his head from his head, and his head grows back. It's kind of like cuckoo like that. Harley Quinn will bash somebody's head out or shoot them and they're dead and they're spilled all over the ground, and she just moves on to the next person as if it's like a cartoon or something. You know what I mean? It's just nuts. It's just loco. So she's way out there. But nonetheless, it's very interesting. Harley Quinn and the Joker, and she would do anything for the Joker at this point in time. Anything. She's that kind of cuckoo, nuts kind of person. Oh, I heard somebody say, why didn't Harley Quinn go to check the wreckage where the helicopter had blown up? Well, I have a feeling she did. Why I say that is because that scene wasn't shown in the movie. But if you do remember, you see her on a car on the ground level. When the helicopter crashed, she was on top of a building. But then she ended up on ground level. So I'm assuming that she went to find the wreckage and probably saw all the burned, charred, everything. No body of the Joker, no body of anybody maybe. But she's probably assuming the Joker is dead because she can't find remains or whatever. She's lost him anyway, as far as she's concerned. So she pulls out the put in the necklace and throws it, because when a helicopter explodes, it incinerates. You're not gonna find body parts. You know what I mean? So I think that's where she probably came from. Just for those people, it's an assumption on my part because they didn't show it, but the fact that she was on top of a building and then the next minute we see her on top of a car should tell you just about what could have happened, And the fact that she was on top of a car with no one around could have also meant that she also killed the people, the police officers that were there. And there's a very possibility as well, because she's just all alone on top of a car, kind of just very sad. And it was raining. So I don't know what to make of that. But make of it as you will. The point is that Harley Quinn is a very complex, very crazy character. But yet in the midst of all of that, Harley Quinzel is in there, who kind of gives some structure, some order. She's much more serious. So I just wanted to say that. You guys have a great one.